In this lecture, we're looking at the 6 types of triadic voicings. 3 are closed and 3 are open. To get the most out of this lecture, please have your spectratone chart ready. What I'm showing you with the E triad is true for every triad. Next to each position is the formula showing root, third, or fifth. The first triad is in root position, meaning that the E is the bottom pitch, otherwise known as the fundamental. The second triad is E over G sharp. It's called the first inversion. It means that the third of the chord is the bottom pitch. The third triad is E over B. It's called the second inversion. It means the fifth of the chord is the bottom pitch. Please note, in scoring stages, we are not looking at figured bass. Here's what this looks like in piano roll edit. These are the closed position triads, and next to each is the open version of the chord. Open chords can also be called spread harmony. Simply put, you need to know all 6 positions. These are the tools for voicing sections and creating spread harmony for pads in a pop song. These voicings will be used throughout your career. So this is not an academic exercise in asking you to learn them. Okay, I said that for this lecture, we learn how to apply these voicings across span of orchestration. This graphic is called the harmonic overtone series. Look at your spectratone chart and, comparing to this graphic, locate the sub-bass region, low, medium, high, and very high registers. Then note the tone colors by register. Now, I've already covered this in depth in Visual Orchestration 1, so I'm not repeating the instruction I've already given. Here's the harmonic overtone series as a chord. This pattern repeats on every chord tone, but from C we can gain quite a few scoring principles. What we learn from the overtone series laid out as a chord is that in the sub-bass, low, and lower middle registers, you'll be writing mostly open or spread harmony for the low brass, low strings, and low woodwinds. As you move higher, you can voice in triads, sevenths, ninths, and clusters. Here's the same information in piano roll edit. The first writing issue is clarity versus muddiness. The second writing issue is knowing the bottom pitches of the instruments. With tenor trombones only, this is the lowest possible triad that can be performed since the lowest pitch on the tenor bone, excluding pedal tones, is the E2. However, from a practical writing perspective, you don't often see trombones written this low in triadic harmony. But experiment. Just remember, not all brass libraries are created equal. Some will sound good in this position, and others will sound just awful. So keep that in mind. In fact, while we're on the brass, consider how the bass trombone extends the section lower and the tuba even lower. Here are 4 voicings I carved out of the harmonic overtone series. At the top, the 4 pitches within the red oval will sound great with strings and brass. The 3 pitches in green are the root, fifth, third on C. Look at your spectratone chart to see which instruments can play all these pitches, then work out the chord by sections. The second group in red represents the first triad in the overtone series. Notice that it's a second inversion C chord with the fifth in the bottom position. This third group shows the first triad in root position on C. The pitches are C3, E3, and G3. You're looking at a brass tutti from bar 13, the first movement of Mahler's Symphony No. 6. If you worked out the harmonic overtone series on A, you'll see that this brass voicing follows it. The chord is fortissimo, and I've marked for you how the brass is dispersed. In Visual Orchestration 2, I taught you about dynamic equivalence, so review that material to understand why Mahler put 6 French horns on the single pitch A. The pattern for the low end of the overtone series is root, root, fifth, root, third. Notice that the A2 and the E3 are missing from this brass voicing. Here's the voicing in piano roll edit. These are the strings from the same bar. Look in the lower register. The cellos supply the missing A2 in the overtone series, but Mahler omits the fifth, the E3. Do consider creating a MIDI mock-up of this one bar to see what you learn. If you do it, look at the spectratone chart. Look to see which tone colors are being used and how the instruments are mixed to create the sound that Mahler gets. This bar only has 5 pitches, but look at how Mahler divides the strings and assigns them to different tones to get the sound he's after. So this leads to the following observation. Understanding the harmonic overtone series is key to writing effective vertical voicings in each section. This slide is totally my opinion, based on my own writing, but also studying lots of scores, especially the scores featuring brass written in the late 19th and early 20th century when valves became the standard. Again, my opinion, but when you begin a vertical voicing in a section below the first octave or the first fifth in the overtone series above the instrument's lowest pitch, the section can sound muddy. Unison is a different story. Thirds and sixths can be a different story, but triads, depending upon the players, can sound muddy. So starting at the top and working down, I think that trumpets and triads sound muddy when voiced down below C-sharp 5 as the starting high pitch. Following the overtone series, I've marked where clusters can begin. In the strings, I'm thinking about the clusters used in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In short, by following the overtone series, you place clusters where they speak the most clearly. In the strings, with the violas and cellos, I marked where triads can begin following the overtone series. You can also see where the root fifth third voicing can begin. Here are 5 scores that I think should be in your library. From them, you can learn a lot about orchestral tutti spacing and using the harmonic overtone series as a guide for voicings across span of orchestration. For these scores, they're all available from Dover, and I encourage you to buy them, because by the time you get them for free from imslp.org and print them out, you spend more in paper, ink cartridges, and time than you would have if you just bought them in pocket editions. So first up is Bizet's Carmen Suites 1 and 2. Next is Holst the Planets, followed by Mahler 6, then Debussy's Nocturnes, and Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. In these 2 scores, Debussy makes extensive use of divisi and beautiful string combinations in the lower register. Now, I didn't list this score because most laugh when I mention it, but Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony has a lot to learn from for the concepts we've covered in this lecture. The thing about this material is that you use it every time you write and produce a piece of music you've written. That said, to your success.